morning and welcome to Stocks Down Under. Today we're joined by Michael Walshe, the CEO of MTM Critical Metals. Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So you announced a big deal, basically, literally, with Indium recently. But before we jump into that, let's talk about who you guys are. Who is MTM Critical Metals and what do you do and why is that so different from what's out there in the market?
Sure. MTM is an industrial technology company. We're focused on commercializing the flash Joule heating platform for the recovery of metals from both waste streams and mineral ores. And we are doing that better than the incumbent techniques of doing so. So pyrometallurgy and hydrometallurgy, broadly speaking, are the two techniques used to do the same job. And we've got a more efficient, sustainable and economic solution for that. We're based in Houston, Texas. Our primary operations are based in Houston, and we're ASX listed, but we also, as of today, we are live on the OTC markets in the US due to the strong demand that we've had to date from US investors. So ASX and US listed, focused on commercializing this flash Joule heating technology.
And so if we jump into the essence of the company, we have to zoom out a little bit before we do that. And that's all to do with the tensions, I should say, between the US and China. That's been brewing for a long time, but it seems to be escalating at the moment, especially when Trump will come in early next year. We'll likely see tariffs escalating for imports out of China into the US, and China in turn just very recently further limited exports of critical metals in general, and also, of course, to the US. So if we look at what's happening there, can you talk a little bit about the geopolitical dynamics of what's happening there? And then we'll jump into sort of where you guys today.
Yeah, look, the geopolitics at the moment is actually giving us quite nice tailwinds. So essentially, China and the US have an ongoing, I suppose, geopolitical spat. One country implements tariffs and the other responds. So the latest is very fortunate for us in terms of timing. So as of last week, China implemented a complete ban on 3 metals. They're considered dual use metals. They've got both military and civilian use. So that's gallium, germanium, and antimony. And as it happens, we've just announced a strategic deal with a company involved with gallium and germanium. So very fortunate. So the whole essence of the spat relates to that these metals are used in lots of high tech, both military tech and tech that we all use, like computers, etc. So they're very strategic metals. China controls almost 100% of the value chain of these metals. So the US and the rest of the world is really vulnerable to these type of events. So China can overnight turn off the tap. And they've done it the same like 10 years ago with rare earth elements, causing a huge spike in price. So they use that as leverage against the US. And we believe that this dynamic is not going to change anytime soon. Trump certainly is going to try and make the US great again and not be beholden to the likes of China. So it's very fortunate for us. We're dealing with a US company, Indium Inc. They should have significant inputs from the Trump administration, we believe, because they're one of the world's only suppliers of these metals outside of China in terms of their ability to refine them. So yeah, it's very fortunate, and we should get lots of tailwinds, we believe, during the Trump administration.
And so part of what the US will be doing is reshoring supply of these metals, like some gallium, germanium, indium. What does that entail? How does that work?
Well, if you read what he's publicly said, it's all about bringing manufacturing back to the US and trying to replicate the era of, like, say, the 1950s, where the US was a real manufacturing powerhouse. And I suppose over the last 40, 50 years, most of the world's manufacturing has been offshore China. I mean, it's estimated that by 2030, almost 50% of the world's manufactured goods are going to be manufactured in China. So Trump's trying to rebalance the whole situation and get jobs back to these towns that have been decimated by manufacturing offshoring. So we believe that the various policies that he's going to implement should have big benefits for us. We're based in Houston, Texas, a very, Republican state, and there should be lots of incentives for companies like us to establish manufacturing in the US. And we hope that the grants available for such initiatives should only increase. But there already is a big pool of cash available for this, which we're already applying for. And yeah, we think that we couldn't have picked a better time, and very fortunate that Trump got in.
Right. And so then that brings us to Indium Corporation. So you announced that deal, I think, last week. Talk to us about the company itself, because I suspect not many investors in Australia will know who Indium is, the size of the company, where they're based, what the history is of that company. So enlighten us a little bit with about Indium, what that is.
Yeah, so very lucky again to have such a high caliber partner. So they're based in Syracuse, New York. That's their headquarters. They're probably the world's biggest supplier into the semiconductor metal space in terms of refined gallium, germanium, indium, and other specialty metals. They've been around since 1934. They've got facilities all around the world in 16 refineries based in the US, Europe, and Asia. So China, Japan, South Korea. So major player. Their primary customers are the semiconductor space and the electronics industry. They've got several thousand employees. I believe revenues, they're a private company, but revenues we've heard of over $1 billion Aussie dollars a year. So a very big player. We couldn't ask for a better partner. And they supply these refined like gallium, germanium, indium up to 9N purity. So that's 99 and 7 nines after purity into the semiconductor fabricators. And they've got a waste material that's rich in gallium, germanium, indium, and tin and other metals. And there's other sources of waste as well. And we've got access to that waste to recover those metals. So yeah, we couldn't have asked for a better partner.
So up till now, how have those waste processes been processed, basically refined, I should say? And then looking at you guys, once you come in, what is the difference between what they're doing now and how they will be doing it going forward with you?
Look, at all of their processes and their techniques is all very proprietary and secret, because I suppose that's their IP. But to our understanding, they have this waste material that's the dregs of their existing refinery process. They currently don't have a method to get the value out of that waste. So most of it is landfilled, I believe, to overseas locations. And with our technology, the original inventors in Rice University, Texas, showed that gallium and other metals could be pulled out of semiconductor scrap. And then we've obviously expanded on that work now, but our technique basically involves ultra-fast heating in a controlled chemistry environment using proprietary catalysts and know-how to allow the metals, these niche metals that are normally very hard to extract because they're so similar. This technique based on temperature and chemistry, and we've had lots of success pulling out these metals, and that's why Indium is willing to talk to us. So we've got a very bright future ahead, we believe, and the next stage with Indium is to get the process to 1 ton per day in our commercial scale unit. It is commercial scale when you consider these niche metals are so high value. So that ambition we hope to realize by the end of next year.
So does it mean that Indium can now, so whatever they've landfilled, either in the US or overseas, can bring some of that back to the US to process for your facility?
Potentially, yes. That's the bigger picture opportunity. And there's already lots of waste stockpiled in the US. So there's plenty of material to get stuck into.
All right. And in terms of timelines, the design work, permitting, can you talk a little bit about what investors should be looking at in terms of all the sort of mandatory stuff that you need to go through before you get the process up and running?
Sure, yeah. So the current plan is to have the design finalized by the end of February next year and signed off, and then we'll get straight into procurement of equipment and eventually commissioning. So we hope to have the commissioning and construction, everything complete by about August next year. And then that's when we hope to start testing the various different feedstocks, because the facility is going to be designed feedstock agnostic. So we've got all these different mineral ores and waste streams that we have been getting lots of success on the prototype level at. So the commercial scale unit, August next year, hope to have ready to test on all these different waste streams following successful commissioning. And then by the end of the year, we hope to be in a commercial situation on the gallium opportunity.
Okay. And so if we zoom out for a moment, so the deal with Indium obviously is groundbreaking for you. In terms of expanding MTM further, what sort of I'm assuming you're looking for similar type deals, similar type projects with other companies across the globe. Can you talk a little bit about that? What the initiatives are there?
Yeah, so Indium, I suppose that's been the first public validation that we've been able to announce, which has given us, that extra credibility and the tick that our shareholders were looking for. But that's just one of many that we have bubbling away in the background. So we've got several other big industrial players that we're speaking to and doing test work for. And as soon as we can announce publicly any of these additional like MOUs or collaborations, I think that'll be another potential revaluation for our company, because as we build this credibility, we've now gone way beyond the lab scale that the university guys have taken it to. We've demonstrated it at prototype scale, and as soon as we can get more of these much bigger companies behind us, we think that's when the next leap up in valuation will happen. The demonstration plant, which is the 1 ton per day unit, that will allow us to get much more of these collaborations underway, because it gives these players confidence that we can achieve what we say we can. And 1 ton per day is that number we believe that will fulfill that ambition. So yeah, lots to look out for, lots of news flow. We'll have lots of testing news flow to come as well on the different waste streams.
Okay. And so that's on deals with collaborations. Is there any news flow that we should be expecting in terms of maybe the process, further improvements in the process, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so today, I'm not sure when this will go out, but today we're having an announcement about launching on the OTC. So that'll go out today. We'll have various testing updates on all the different materials, like the different mineral ores. We're soon to test antimony concentrate, niobium concentrate, different high-value electronic scrap that we've got access to, red mud tailings, getting the value out of the problematic red mud tailings. And there are several other feedstocks. So there'll be ongoing test work as we can announce it. We'll have the gallium indium recovery test work when we have that, and hopefully some collaborations not too far away as well. So yeah, lots to look forward to. There'll also be various development updates on our progress with the full-scale unit. So yeah, we certainly won't be lacking in terms of news flow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you sound like a very busy man, Michael. And like you said, lots to look forward to for investors. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations with the OTC listing today.
Thanks very much, Mark, and thanks for Pitt Street's support so far.